There are seasons when nothing seems to move, yet everything is being arranged. This is the chapter where faith is tested not by storms, but by stillness. You wake each day sensing that something is near, though no sign confirms it. Heaven often works this way, quietly, intentionally, beyond human timing. What feels like delay is not denial, it is preparation. God often prepares the answer before revealing the question. In this season, you are being strengthened inwardly, taught to trust without evidence, to believe without applause. The silence is not empty, it is full of instruction. Every closed door is shaping your discernment. Every unanswered prayer is aligning your heart. You are learning patience not as weakness, but as power. There are moments when you feel overlooked, when progress seems invisible. Yet God specializes in unseen work. Roots grow deepest underground before branches appear above the surface. What is forming within you now will support what is coming next. If the blessing arrived too early, it would collapse under its own weight. So God waits, not because He is slow, but because He is precise. Unexpected encounters will soon make sense of this season. What arrives may come through a person, a message, or an opportunity that feels ordinary at first. But divine appointments rarely announce themselves. They knock softly, testing whether you are ready to recognize them. Stay attentive, stay humble, stay faithful. This chapter is not about striving, it is about surrender. Trust that God sees what you cannot. Trust that timing is part of the miracle. When the door finally opens, you will understand why it could not have happened sooner. Until then, remain steady. Heaven is closer than it appears, and what is coming has already been chosen for you. There is a sacred moment that comes before every breakthrough, a space where nothing appears to happen, yet everything is shifting. This is the moment many abandon hope, mistaking quietness for absence. But God is never absent in silence. He speaks most clearly when distractions fade and expectations are stripped away. This chapter begins in stillness, because stillness is where transformation is conceived. You may feel an unexplainable anticipation, a stirring that has no visible source. It is the soul sensing alignment before manifestation. God often prepares the heart long before He changes the situation. What feels like repetition, waiting, or delay is actually refinement. In this hidden place, pride is softened, trust is deepened, and dependence on God becomes unshakable. The waiting season exposes what words cannot. It reveals whether faith is rooted in outcomes or in obedience. When prayers seem unanswered, God is not ignoring you. He is rearranging what must move first. Some doors remain closed, not to block you, but to protect you from entering too soon. Divine timing is not about speed, it is about order. There are lessons only learned in obscurity. In silence, discernment sharpens. You learn to hear God without signs, to stand firm without validation. The world may overlook you, but heaven does not. God does His greatest work in secret, where applause cannot interfere with purpose. What is being built in you now will sustain what is coming next. Soon, what has been forming quietly will step into the light. An encounter, a message, or an opportunity will confirm what you sensed all along. It may arrive unexpectedly, but it will feel familiar, like recognition rather than surprise. This is how divine appointments work. They meet preparation with timing. This chapter is not an ending. It is the breath before movement. Remain faithful in the unseen. Continue walking even when the path feels repetitive. The shift you have been waiting for is already in motion. When it arrives, you will realize the waiting was not wasted. It was necessary. God never delays without purpose, and what He has prepared will arrive right on time. There comes a season in life when movement is no longer visible, yet progress is undeniable in the spirit. This is the chapter where God works beneath the surface, away from noise, away from validation, away from human timelines. It is uncomfortable because it demands trust without proof. You sense that something is forming, but you cannot explain it to anyone else. This is not confusion, it is divine concealment. In this quiet season, God removes the need for constant reassurance. Faith matures when it learns to stand alone. You are no longer carried by excitement or signs, but by conviction. The waiting feels heavy because your spirit knows change is close. Anticipation without explanation is often the signal that alignment is taking place behind the scenes. God rarely announces His moves in advance. He prepares hearts before He opens doors. What feels like stagnation is actually stabilization. Before elevation comes grounding, because what rises without roots cannot remain standing. The silence you are experiencing is strengthening your inner life, training you to rely on God rather than outcomes. There are moments you may question your worth or wonder if you have been forgotten. But heaven never forgets assignments it has chosen. Delays are not punishments, they are protections. Some prayers are answered by waiting because the answer would overwhelm you if it arrived too soon. God sees the full picture, including the consequences you cannot see yet. During this chapter, distractions fall away. Certain people grow distant. Familiar comforts lose their power. This is not loss, it is separation. God often removes what no longer fits the next season. The isolation is intentional, creating space for clarity. In the quiet, discernment becomes sharper and purpose becomes clearer. Soon, movement will return, but it will not be chaotic. It will be precise. What arrives may come through a conversation, an unexpected invitation, or a moment that seems ordinary on the surface. Divine shifts rarely come with noise. They come with confirmation. When it happens, you will recognize it immediately. Your spirit will know. This chapter teaches surrender over striving. You are learning to rest without giving up, to trust without control. When the door opens, you will walk through with wisdom instead of urgency. You will understand that this season was not about delay, but about preparation. Heaven has been arranging details you never saw. The silence was not empty, it was active. And when the change finally unfolds, you will see that every quiet moment played a role in bringing you exactly where you were meant to be. There are seasons when life grows unusually quiet, not because nothing is happening, but because something sacred is unfolding beyond your sight. This chapter is marked by stillness, where the noise fades and the heart becomes aware of a deeper movement. You may feel suspended between what was and what is coming, standing in a place that feels uncertain, yet strangely purposeful. This is where God often chooses to work. Silence has a way of revealing what distraction hides. In this season, you are learning to listen with your spirit rather than your senses. Answers do not arrive loudly, they form slowly, through reflection, prayer, and trust. God is shaping your inner life, strengthening your character, and preparing you to carry what you have been asking for. The delay is not a denial, it is an invitation to grow. You may wonder why progress feels invisible while effort remains constant. Yet unseen progress is still progress. Just as seeds break open underground before they rise into the light, transformation begins where no one is watching. God often builds strength in private, so that public moments do not destroy what has been formed. What you are becoming matters just as much as what you will receive. This chapter may also bring distance, people drifting away, familiar routines losing their comfort, expectations being challenged. These changes are not meant to wound you, but to realign you. Not everyone can walk with you into the next season. God removes what no longer serves His purpose, making room for what will support your calling. Letting go is part of the preparation. At times, doubt may whisper that you have been forgotten. But God does not forget what He has chosen. He watches closely, adjusting timing, aligning circumstances, and protecting you from outcomes you cannot yet see. Some doors remain closed because what lies behind them is still being arranged. Trust grows when you believe even without evidence. When the moment comes, the shift will feel sudden, though it has been forming for a long time. The door will open quietly, through a conversation, an opportunity, or a realization that changes everything. There may be no dramatic sign, only a deep sense of recognition. You will know this is what the waiting prepared you for. This chapter is not about rushing forward. It is about becoming ready. Surrender replaces striving. Peace replaces anxiety. You learn to rest in God's timing, confident that He is precise and intentional. The silence that once felt heavy will make sense. When you finally step into what God has prepared, you will look back and understand that this quiet chapter was not empty. It was full of growth, alignment, and unseen grace. The door opened not by force, but by faith, exactly when your heart was ready to walk through it. There is a season when life slows to a pace that feels uncomfortable, even confusing. You are not moving backward, yet you are not clearly moving forward. This chapter exists in that in-between space, where God aligns what cannot be rushed. The quiet is intentional. It is not meant to punish you, but to prepare you. During this time, you may sense that something is approaching, though nothing visible confirms it. This anticipation is not imagination, it is awareness. God often allows the Spirit to sense change before circumstances reflect it. What feels like delay is actually divine order being established. Nothing is out of place, even when it seems that way. In this chapter, faith is refined. You learn to trust without constant reassurance and to continue believing without proof. The absence of visible progress forces reliance on God rather than outcomes. This is where spiritual maturity forms, when obedience continues, even when reward is unseen. Silence becomes a teacher, not an enemy. You may notice certain relationships shifting, or certain desires losing their grip. This is not loss, it is alignment. God gently removes what no longer fits the next season of your life. Discomfort often accompanies growth, but it also creates clarity. What remains after the shaking is what belongs with you moving forward. There are moments when doubt whispers that you have been forgotten, but God does not forget what He has chosen. He sees every quiet act of faith, every prayer spoken in private, every tear shed without witnesses. Heaven counts what the world overlooks. Timing is being arranged with precision. Soon, the waiting will give way to movement. It will not arrive loudly or dramatically, but with certainty. An opportunity, a conversation, or a realization will open a door you did not force. When it happens, it will feel familiar, as if your spirit has already been there. This chapter is not about striving harder, it is about surrendering deeper. Trust replaces urgency. Peace replaces anxiety. You begin to understand that God's silence is not absence, but attention. When the alignment is complete, you will step forward with confidence, knowing the quiet season shaped you for what comes next. Every season of waiting carries a purpose, even when that purpose is hidden. What once felt like silence now reveals itself as careful preparation. God was never absent in the stillness. He was present in every unseen detail, aligning what could not be forced. The delays, the quiet moments, and the unanswered questions were not meant to weaken your faith, but to deepen it. Looking back, you can see how strength was formed, where impatience once lived. You learned to trust without constant reassurance, to move forward without clear signs, and to remain faithful when progress felt invisible. This inner growth matters more than any outward change, because it ensures that what comes next will not overwhelm you. God prepares the person before releasing the promise. The waiting also taught you discernment. You learned what to release, what to carry, and what truly belongs in your life. Certain attachments loosened, expectations shifted, and clarity replaced confusion. What remained after the quiet shaping was what aligned with your purpose. Nothing was taken without reason, and nothing essential was lost. Now, as the season turns, you understand that timing is part of the miracle. What arrives does so with intention, not haste. The door opens not because you forced it, but because you were ready to walk through it. Peace accompanies this transition, confirming that the preparation was necessary. This conclusion is not an ending, but a recognition. You see now that every silent step mattered. God honored your patience, your obedience, and your trust in moments no one else saw. The path ahead may still require faith, but it is built on a foundation strengthened by waiting. Carry this understanding forward. Silence does not mean stagnation, and delay does not mean denial. God's work is often quiet, but always precise. What He has prepared for you arrives at the right moment, sustained by the growth formed along the way.